The Holy Gospel according to John, the 11th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." But when Jesus heard it, he said,
"This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it."
Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, Jesus stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, Jesus said to the disciples,
"Let us go to Judea again."
And the disciples said to him,
Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and are you going there again?
Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them. Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to awaken him.
Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right.
Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought he was referring merely to sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly,
"Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him."
Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples,
"Let us also go, that we may die with you."
When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus,
"Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him."
Your brother will rise again.
I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day.
I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world.
When Martha had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately,
"The teacher is here and is calling for you."
And when Mary heard it, she got up quickly and went to Jesus. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought that she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him,
"Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died."
When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said,
"Where have you laid him?"
Lord, come and see.
Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said,
See how he loved him.
but some of them said,
"Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?"
Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said,
"Take away the stone."
Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him,
"Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead 4 days."
Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?
So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked upward and said,
Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me.
When Jesus had said this, he cried with a loud voice,
"Lazarus, come out."
The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them,
"Unbind him and let him go."
Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
I feel like so many of us wish this were true. That God could say, prophesy to the bones, prophesy to the breath, and dry bones would come together and live again. So many of us wish that Jesus could shout out, Lazarus, come out, and a dead man could walk from the tomb once again. We pray for those things to happen. We beg God for those to happen. We don't necessarily see dead bodies rising and walking once again. But we're reminded through this Lenten season that God does bring new life in all parts of this world. In Paul's letter to the Romans, it said, to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. We, as people of faith, as Christians, ground ourselves on this idea of life in the Spirit, of Jesus bringing about new life in the midst of chaos and death, Jesus providing us hope. And I think one of those places where we get that foundation is from when we're young. I think one of the places many of you got that foundation is when growing up you went to camp. And I think one of those important places is camp, where we train and teach and help our young people embody this hope and this spirit. So I'm so glad that Jordan could be with us today to tell us about a camp that's part of our synod and just 3.5 hours away, and such something that we can support and send our youth to, but also just know that they are doing the good work of forming the faith of so many young people. So Jordan, if you would come up and share a little bit about that camp, we look forward to hearing that.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today. I already enjoyed Sunday school and confirmation. If you were here, I'm sure you heard the loud screamings. We had a lot of fun games going on. I just want to tell you a little bit about camp, the ministry that we get to do, and the opportunity that we have to do it with all of you. So like he said, we are your camp of the Synod. We are located right in the middle of Kansas. We have about 840 acres that we get to do ministry on. So it's a super cool place. That we have hills, we have high ropes, low ropes, canoeing, and so many more fun activities. So I look forward to talking to you guys and seeing how we can get you all involved. So today I want to tell you just a couple stories of camp and how we see our ministry evolve. So for this summer coming up, our reading is going to be focused on Hebrews 12, 1 and 2, and it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith." So our theme this year is called Climb On. In Hebrews 12, it gives us the perfect image of what that means in faith, to run or to climb with perseverance, fixing our eyes on Jesus. The writer of Hebrew paints this picture of a race. It's not a quick sprint, but a long course marked out for us, surrounded by encouragement of a great cloud of witnesses. Think about that for just a moment. Every person of faith that has gone before us is cheering us on as we keep moving forward. Just like in a race or in a climb, it's not always easy. Sometimes that trail is really steep. Sometimes we feel weighed down by sin, worry, fear. Sometimes obstacles get in our way and trip us up. But Hebrews reminds us that we can throw all of those things off. We don't climb in our own strength. We climb because Jesus, the pioneer of faith, has already gone before us and marked it out for us. So that's why I love this theme so much for camp. At camp, campers get to experience what it means to keep climbing, even when it gets tough. On the ropes course, when their legs are shaking, they don't like heights, when they look down and see how high they are, but they keep climbing, knowing that when they get to the top, they get a zip line down. Or on the trail, when they're tired, it's hot, they're sweaty, but they keep climbing and keep going up that hill because all of their friends are right around them, going with them. Or in worship, when we're around a campfire, singing songs, having a good time, dancing, and they stand up and start dancing with everyone else because they know they are not alone. We're all doing it together. So I wanted to share just a couple stories of camp so you can see how this really evolves. So like I said, at camp, we have a 40-foot high ropes course. So campers get the opportunity to climb up. When they get to the top, they get a zip line down. When we first tie them into the rope, the camper's tied into one side, and on the other side of that rope, we call them village, that's all the teammates with them, is holding the other side of the rope. That's called your belay team. So they're all holding that rope to make sure that that person climbing is safe. They're going to keep them from falling and protect them the whole way. So the very first thing we do, we hook them on, and the climber looks at their belay team, and they say, belay team ready. When the team's ready, they say, ready. And then right before they climb, the climber says, climbing, to which everybody responds, climb on. And that gives them the, okay, we're ready for you. We're going to cheer you on and keep you safe as you climb up. So that's kind of where we really embrace this climb on theme. So we have campers that climb it in 20 seconds. We have campers that climb it in 20 minutes. But they both make it. They make it to the top, and they get a zip line down. They have that moment of, I did it. So this last summer, we had a camper. He was 4th grade. It was his very first time being at camp. And when you hit 4th grade, that's the very first time you can climb the ropes course. So his group's there, it's his turn. And we hook him on to the rope, and I mean, you can already see the fear in his eyes. He was very scared. So we hook him on, and he goes, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you got this. His team's cheering him on. And he starts climbing. He gets about 10 feet up. And, I mean, you can see the tears rolling off his face. And, I can't do this. Let me down. I'm not going any farther. But he keeps climbing. And his team's going, you got this. You can do it. Gets a little bit higher. Let me down. I can't go any farther. Keeps climbing. A little bit farther. I'm so scared. Let me down. Keeps climbing. Now, he said this the whole 40 feet up. And he finally gets to the very top. And he looks down and he says, I just did that. I made it up. And everyone's cheering him on. Never once did this kid stop climbing. He said he couldn't do it. He said he was scared and he wanted to let down. But he kept climbing. He never once stopped. He probably made it in less than a minute and a half. And even though he was scared, he knew with God's strength that he could make it. And God would protect him. His team down on the ground would protect him. That's the kind of perseverance that we all need to have. The kind that says, even when it's tough, sure, you can cry the whole way. You can say it's hard, but keep climbing. God is with you. The next story is of a 2nd grader we had at camp. So again, it was his very first time at camp. And what's really cool, when you pull into camp, the very first thing you see, we have this huge hill, and right on the side of the hill is a rock cross. So the cross is made out of lots of rocks. So the way this works is when you come to camp as a camper, sometime during your week at camp, your village goes and you find a rock. The rock can be anywhere at camp. Something that means something, you like that rock. You pick it up and you carry it, and then eventually we paint it. So you can paint whatever you want on it, something that means something to you. It could be your name, a story in your life, something you like to do, whatever they want to paint on it. And then the last day of camp, everybody gets together and you walk that cross to the front of camp, and they put it on the rock cross. You can go as high as you want or as wide as you want. And you set that rock on the cross. That's kind of like leaving your name at camp, leaving something of yourself there. And then as the rain comes, it washes all that paint away. And it's like our sins being washed away. It's made clean again. So it's just a really cool symbol that we like to do at camp. So This second grader, first time, they come Sunday to Tuesday, so it's a 48-hour camp. He didn't know anybody else there, and we kind of tell him what the rock cross is, what we're going to do. So his village goes out to find their rocks. And we tell him, okay, make sure when you find your rock, it's something you can carry, right? You need to carry it probably half a mile to the front of camp, so you got to make it that far. So his group goes out. We're going to call him Timmy. And Timmy his group's coming back, and I see him walking up the trail. So I go down to meet him, and I'm counting them. I'm like, I think we're missing somebody. They're like, no, Timmy's coming. Okay, let's just wait for him. So we wait a minute or two, and finally you see Timmy coming through the woods, and he has this rock. He's breathing hard. I mean, they've come a long way already. Finally, Timmy makes it up to us, and he sets this rock on the ground. He goes, oh. It's like, that's a nice rock, Timmy. He goes, yeah. Yeah. He's like, it is. I was like, so do you remember that part when we said, find a rock you can carry? Yeah. Okay. And I was like, well, does that look like an appropriate rock to carry? And he reaches in his pocket, and he pulls out this rock that fits in the palm of his hand, and he says, well, this is my rock. And I said, well, whose rock is that? And he looks over, and there's this little girl, and he goes, well, this is Kenna's rock. I said, well, why are you carrying it? And he goes, because that's the rock she wanted. And she couldn't carry it, but that's the one she really wanted. So I wasn't going to let her leave without that rock. Remind you, Timmy hadn't met this girl but 24 hours before this. And he knew that's the rock that she wanted. He wasn't going to let her leave without that. This kid not only just met this other camper, he is sweating, he's exhausted, but he's pushing through to help somebody else get something that they wanted. Talk about moving forward, climbing on for the kingdom of God. Nobody looked at Timmy and said, hey, if you carry this rock for her, you'll get an extra snack today. Nobody said you'll get an extra prize. Timmy just did this because he wanted to help somebody else. A second grader used the strength of God to help him help others, building up the community of faith. That's what camp does. We build new friends, and we help each other because God's calling us to do that. So the good news is this. Jesus has already marked out the race for us. He's the pioneer. He knows the way because he's walked it first. He's the perfecter. He finishes what we can't, helping us carry that big rock for somebody else. So to climb on doesn't mean that we will never stumble. It means when we stumble, we get back up. We keep climbing. It means when that hill looks impossible, we remember we are not climbing alone. It means fixing our eyes on Jesus and trusting him to guide our way. So may we climb on with that perseverance to keep climbing even though it looks hard, with joy in the community around us to sing and dance together, with our eyes fixed on Jesus, because he is the one who makes the climb worth it. So camp really has a way of pulling out so much in us, and we love to see new campers come out and experience the goodness of God in our community. So like I talked about with confirmation and our Sunday school kids, we offer 7 weeks of camp throughout the summer, and they're just divided by age group. So there's 2 or 3 options for every age group to come out to camp. Like I said, our 1st through 3rd graders spend 48 hours with us, so Sunday to Tuesday, and then 4th grade up comes Sunday through Friday, and we get to spend a week in God's creation doing so many fun things together. So I hope that you can find some weeks that work for you guys and join us. And if you're not of camper age, there's so many other ways you can get involved at camp. We are open all year round for retreats, so anybody can come out at any time and use our space. We have 12 air-conditioned cabins that are great for weddings, adult retreats, youth retreats, you name it, we can do it. And then there's ways you can get involved elsewhere. So we do a 5K race, so it's like a Tough Mudder race. We call it the Tough Camper. It's coming up April 11th. It's a super fun event, fundraiser for us. We've doubled in size every year, which is super cool. But we talk about obstacles getting in our way. The Tough Camper is a perfect way to represent that. There's 15 obstacles you go across to get to the finish line. It's super fun. And then our biggest fundraiser of the year is the end of April, April 25th, our annual auction. So this is a good way for people near and far to get involved. So the auction is a week-long online. So you can go on straight to your phone from your own couch. You can bid on items, and then we will somehow deliver it to you if you win something big. And then if you want to drive out there, we also do an in-person auction. So we do an open house, so you can kind of see camp, get a tour. We are in the middle of building a brand new office building right now. So the ribbon cutting is going to be that same day. And then we do dinner and auction fellowship together that night. But please join us online if you can. That is a great way to support our summer program. All the money we raise goes directly towards summer. So hiring staff, food, you name it. So we really appreciate you guys getting involved in camp. I will stick around after service if you have any questions. I would love to talk to you. But thanks so much for letting me be here.